Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's Ijama here, and in today's video we're going to learn how to make this beautiful dress with a Queen Anne neckline. Let's call it a Queen Anne neckline, but it's a trending dress. My own has a half length actually because I was managing fabric, but you can sew this dress without a half length. Now the first thing that I will do is to draft my skirt. It is just an A-line skirt, very simple. So now I have my paper and I will draft my skirt first of all before I draft the top of this dress. But if you want to draft it cut together, you can make it cut together. Just that number one, I was managing my fabric and for some reasons I like clothes that have half length. Now I have marked my hip line, my waistline, and the full length of this dress. And around my hip line, I'll measure out my paper plus extra. Okay, so if your hip is 44, you will divide it by 4. That would be 11, right? You go ahead and add extra 3 inches to your hip line. So now this is the full length of this dress, this is the hip line of the dress, and this is the waistline or the half length of the dress. Now on the waistline, I will take my normal waist measurement, okay? So my waist is 30, but I like making it 28, 29 if I want my waist to be fitted. So I divided it by 4. And my hip, I divided my hip by 4 plus extra 3. Then I connected from my waist to that my hip divided by 4 plus extra 3. Then from there I'll also give it an A-line shape. Then after doing that, at the side of the full length, I'll come up by 2 inches and I will connect it back to the full length of this dress so that it will not be too pointy at the side, too sharp at the sides of the skirts. Okay, so now this paper is what I will use to cut out both the front and the back piece of my skirt, so I don't need to draft the back separately. This front pattern that I have drafted will help me. Now that I am done, I will go ahead and draft the top. So I subtracted my skirt, of course. So from my shoulder to my bust point is 10, shoulder to chest line 8. Then the neckline, I want the neckline to stop around 6.5, 7. Like it depends on how deep you want your neckline to be. So I marked 8 inches for my chest line. Then from the chest line, I will come up. Chest line is also known as armhole line. So from the chest line, you come up by like 1 inch or 1.5 or 2, depending on how low you want your neckline to be. So the distance of my neckline is 6.5. The depth of my neckline is 6.5. But I later changed my mind. And one thing I noticed is that if you want to get this dress exactly the way it is, then you need to avoid making it for people that have a big bust. This dress looks better on slim people that do not have a big bust. Okay, now I've labeled my lines: neckline, chest line, bust point. Then I'll extend my chest line, of course, but the difference between my front and my back half length is 1.5. If you measure my half length from the front, it is 17, but if you measure it from the back, it is 15.5 or 16. Okay, so front and back half length are not usually equal. So my back half length is shorter than my front half length, so that I will not have that zipper bulge at the back. But the chest line is equal. Now I'll mark my shoulder 16 divided by 2, that is 8. I'll connect it back to my neck, to my chest line, and then I'll mark my armhole. You can see that my neckline is different from my chest line. Chest line is armhole line. Then neckline is where the neckline of this dress will stop at. Now, neck width is 2.5 for the width of the neck. Then shoulder slope is 1 inch, and I'll connect from that 1 inch to the 2.5 I measured for my neck width. Then I'll mark my dart. From the center of the paper, I'll mark for 4 inches. My dart is nipple to nipple is 8 divided by 2 is 4 inches. And I'll take out half inch at the half length for my darts, just the way we mark normal darts. Okay, now if you want, you can use this under bust dart. If you want, you can use only your bust dart. In my own case, I'm using only my bust dart, my side darts. Now, I have connected how I want this neckline to be. From that 2.5, I connected it down to the neckline. You can see the neckline, but mistakenly, I took it straight down to the chest line, but stop at the neckline. From the 2.5 inch I marked for my neck width, I connected to my neckline. Okay, and it should be like 1.5 inch away from your armhole line. Now I am cutting out my paper. I have cut out my shoulder slope, I have cut out my neckline, and I'm cutting out my armhole. Then this is what I have. Now I feel my neckline is high and I'm trying to like bring it down a little. I want my neckline to be low, like I want it to have a low cut so that my cleavage would show a little. Now at that point where my new neckline is at now, I will cut straight, like I will cut off my yoke. Okay, so now before I do that, I'll take my waist measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch for that, and I'll take my bust measurement. Then I'll connect my waist to my bust measurement so that I will know where to cut from. So right now I will cut off my waist and my bust measurement. Now you can see our yoke. I have not cut out my yoke, and I'll also take my bust dart. So my bust dart, I'm using 1 inch because 1 inch is the difference between my front and my back half length, so that when I'm joining, two of them will be equal at the side. 1 inch for bust dart. Okay, yes, my back half length is 16, my front is 17, so I need to take out 1 inch from the side dart so that when I join my front and my back, they will be equal at the side. Then from the neckline, I will cut off my yoke straight, just straight, and I will label this paper as yoke. Always label your yoke, it is important. And remember that our neck width is 2.5. The wideness of the neck I used is 2.5. 2.5. If you make it 3 inches, it may not relax very well. So the width of the neckline is 2.5. Now I am done with the front, and I will keep the front paper aside and we'll move over to the back. So when we get our back paper, the first thing that we'll do is to take out our zipper allowance, to mark out our zipper allowance. And for the zipper allowance, I want to use 1.5 for my zipper allowance. So I'll go ahead and mark 1.5, and I'll mark a straight line. After marking that straight line, I will label that place as my zipper allowance. So have it in mind that this is your zipper allowance. Then from this zipper allowance line, you can now take your neck width. Our neck width is still 2.5 for the back. Neck width 2.5, shoulder 8 inches. 16 divided by 2 is 8. Then I'll connect it straight down to the chest line, and I will mark my back armhole. So I'll go ahead and mark my back armhole. Then I'm not using that at the back. I don't want to use that at the back. Now from our 2.5-inch neck width, I will connect my triangular line down to the chest line, and you can see that line is like 1 inch away from the armhole line, so it looks very close to the armpit. That your yoke shape should be very close to your armpits. Now I'll take my bust measurement divided by 4, my waist measurement divided by 4. I don't want to add that, but if you want to add that, it is still okay, but there's no point. Yeah, my clothes is stretchy also, and I made my waist tight, so the back dart may not really be necessary. Now I have cut out my back yoke, and at this point, if I pick this side dart of the front, two of them will be equal at the side. Now this is the fabric that I'm using. I'm managing fabric. If you watched my last tutorial, that black and white dress that I made, this is the piece that is left of it. Now I will go ahead and use it to cut my pieces. First of all, I'll fold my skirt, and I'll add 1 inch to the full length for allowance, and I'll cut at the side. I will add half-inch allowance, just half-inch allowance at the side. It is already a line and it is free. Now that I am done cutting the front, I will use this front piece to cut out my back piece. Like I'll carry it and place on my back piece. So if I fold another piece, I will place it, and this fabric is more like on bias form. And if you are cutting this type of short A-line dress, you should give a little space at your back to accommodate your butt. Sometimes if you're wearing a short A-line dress, it will be hanging at the back. So what you're going to do is that at the center back, you will also cut it as if you're giving it a little A-line shape. So now look at our center back. You can see that it has a little A-line shape, okay? Now I'll go ahead and open it. If I take out my zipper allowance, the rest will be ease for our butt so that it will not hang at the back. I hope we understand. Also trim down the side of your skirt. Now that we are done cutting the skirt, we will start cutting the top. And now I don't have a white chantilly lace. I had to use black, and the black combination is really nice. Now, first thing I will do is to cut out the main fabric before cutting the yoke and the sleeve with my chantilly lace. I have placed my paper on it, and I added 1/2 inch allowance at the side, 1 inch allowance at the half length, and 1/2 inch at the neckline. Then notch your side dart, notch where you are going to pick your side dart from. So this notches that make it nice to know where to sew my side dart from. The way we pick underbust dart is the way we are going to pick this one too. The way we sew underbust dart is the same way. Now cut out a facing for this neckline at this stage. Okay, now that I am done cutting on the main piece, I will cut out a facing for it. Your facing should be like 3 inches deep, but it will reach your side seam, it will reach your armhole and your side seam. And that is it for the front. This is the facing for the front. Now that I am done cutting out this facing, I'll also cut out my back piece, like the main piece of my back. And after cutting out the main piece of my back, I will also cut out a facing for it, because after attaching our yoke, this facing is what we are going to use to make our neckline clean. Our yoke is net, so after fixing it, we'll use this facing to turn it. Now that I am done, I'll cut out a facing for my back, and it will reach our zipper allowance, and it will also reach the side seam of this back piece. Okay, yeah, now that we are done cutting all this, there's no dart at the back, so I did not notch anywhere. I'll start cutting out my yoke. Now this is my chantilly lace, and I will cut out my sleeve first of all. Normally the full length of my sleeve is 24 inches, but I made the full length of this sleeve 28 inches so that it will be very long. The sleeve is very long, and you will just cut out your normal fitted sleeve. Then if you're approaching your wrist, you will now give it an A-line shape. If you're approaching your wrist, you will give it an A-line shape. Sorry, this video is fast. I'm trying to like make the duration short for most of us. Okay, now I am done cutting out my sleeve. It is just normal fitted sleeve and A-line shape at the full length. Okay, normal fitted sleeve, A-line shape at the full length. Now the next thing is to cut our yoke. This is for the front yoke. I'll always label your front and your back yoke so that you will not be confused. Label your front yoke and your back yoke. Now this particular one is the back yoke. You can see that it is wider than the front yoke. It is 1 inch away from the armhole line. So this one is for the front yoke. Front yoke is wider, okay, and shorter as well. Our back yoke is longer, and I've added 1/2 inch around all of them. Now this is the bias that we use to turn the necklines, those V necklines, only the necklines. You are going to turn only the necklines. But before we turn the neckline of the back, we are going to add a rope to it, because this dress has a rope at the back neckline where you can use and tie it. So before I turn it with a bias, I will add rope to it. So I'll go ahead and fold my bias into a very tiny piece and then attach the rope to the neckline before I turn with bias. I hope you understand. Now this is the sleeve. I will use 1 inch allowance to shape my sleeve, and that will be all for my sleeve. Okay, now I am done turning my front yoke. This one is the front yoke. I'm done turning it with bias, and you can see the V shape of it. Now I'll go ahead and place it to the front piece, so this is our front piece, and I'll place my yoke this way so that it will align with the armhole of the main fabric. Now turn it over this way and pin down. After pinning it down, you will sew on it. You can stitch on it, or you can place the facing on top and sew it together with the facing once and for all. So this is the facing. I'll place it on the facing, and I'll turn only the neckline, just a straight line. I'll turn it and top stitch, then pick my side dart. Now this is the back yoke. I have not turned the neckline of the back yoke. I have already folded my bias into a tiny piece, and this is it. I'll place the rope and then place bias on top and sew. So place the rope before you turn with your bias. Now this is our sleeve. We are done turning our sleeve. We are done shaping our sleeve with 1 inch. Okay, now this is the back skirt. I'll close the zip allowance. I like closing my zip allowance before shaping my skirt. Now I am done closing the zip allowance of the back of the skirt, and I will place the front skirt on it, the front A line. You can see our A line, and the back is somehow bigger than the front because of our butts. Now take your waist measurement. Once you get your waist measurement, you shape straight down. Okay, now this is the back, these are the back pieces, and I am done turning the yoke for the back pieces. And you know that you can see that this yoke, two of them came with their separate rope for tying the neckline at the back. So go ahead and pin the yoke to the main body, to the main bodies, and then use the facing to turn it. Always use facing to turn. You can use bias, but facing will give you a very clean finish. Right now, place the facing on top, place the yoke, place the facing on top, then you will use half an inch to stitch your neckline straight up, and then top stitch. Always top stitch, and then you can use hemming gum to hold down your facing. Now that we are done with that, this is what we have. Yes, we are done turning the facing, and we are done attaching our yoke. Next is to close our zip allowance. Like I always say, I like closing my zip allowance before shaping my clothes. Yeah, before shaping everything. I'll go ahead and take out my zip allowance. I'll use a loose stitch to close my zip allowance first of all. Then I will come back and join the front and the back. Now this is our front piece, and I am done picking my side dart. Now you can see that two of them are equal at the side. Yeah, two of them are equal at the side, and I will shape and join the skirt. Now I am done joining the top. You can see my side darts. I used only side darts, right? I used only side darts. I did not make use of underbust darts, but if you want to make use of underbust darts, it is still okay. But side darts will also help you so that your neckline will not be gaping. Now that I am done, I will measure out my half length, and I will trim my half length. After trimming the half length of this dress, of this top, this is the bustier part, I will now go ahead and join my skirts. If you are sewing your own without half length, you will still do different half lengths for the front and back. Measure your front half length and your back half length separately, or you can just use the same half length if you want, but measure your front and your back half length separately so that you will not have any issue at the zipper area. So now I am trimming my armhole. Yes, our armhole is okay now. It is set now. After trimming the armhole, I'll now go ahead and join the skirt part of this gown to it, and then fix our sleeve. At the end of the day, this black and white combination looks good. Yeah, so I've been sewing a lot of black and white. After the black and white series, you will start seeing our pink series. Now I am done, and I'll go ahead and shape the two of them. I'm making sure that my waist measurement is okay before I shape. Now after doing that, I will fix my zipper. I am done. You can see our neckline. Then this is the zipper allowance area. I've opened the zipper allowance that I stitched area earlier, and I'll go ahead and add my zipper allowance. I also overlocked everywhere, including the full length. I overlocked the full length of this dress, and at the end of the day, this is what I have. I hope you love this tutorial, and I want to remind you all that we have online classes. We have 20 online classes ranging from beginner classes, corsets, streetwear, shirts, so many things. So if you're interested in any of our online classes, do well to notify me in the comment section, and I will direct you on how to register. Do not also forget to click the like button and subscribe to this channel so that anytime I upload a new video, you will be notified. Bye.